I accidentally summoned an alien vampire woman to my home. Now she refuses to leave. It all started with a late-night forum thread titled Ancient Alien Rituals That Totally Work. I should have known better. I'd been researching alien lore for my next podcast episode, Midnight Theories with Max. Most of it was harmless fun. Conspiracies, ancient carvings, unsolved signals from deep space. So when a user named BloodOrbitX posted coordinates and a chant supposedly tied to an extinct vampire-like alien race, I thought, why not? So I did it. I dimmed the lights, sat in my cluttered living room, lit a single red candle, and read the words aloud. Voromelthika, Anushar Kelvenshai. The lights flickered. My dog barked. A cold wind blew in, though all the windows were shut. Then nothing. I laughed, blew out the candle, and made a note to delete the audio. Just more nonsense. Or so I thought. At exactly 3:33 a.m., I woke to a strange humming. A tall woman stood in my doorway. Pale blue skin, silver black hair, eyes like liquid garnet. She was wrapped in something that looked like midnight-colored silk, fused with armor. She had no shoes, but didn't seem to need them. She stared at me with an intensity that made my heart try to backflip out of my chest. "You summoned me," she said flatly. I froze. Excuse me. I heard the call of union. I responded. "Call what now?" She tilted her head. "Do you not understand what you've done, human?" "No. I read some weird words off a sketchy alien blog." She blinked slowly. "Then your ignorance may doom you." I laughed nervously. Okay. Cool costume, by the way. This is a prank, right? My cousin put you up to this." She stepped into the room. The temperature dropped. "I am sorry, LVYNN of the Thirstborn. Bound now to you by right of summoning. You called. I came, and I will not leave." She didn't attack me, didn't bite me. She just moved in. First she commandeered the guest room, then the fridge. "I require a very specific nutritional blend," she said, inspecting the juice shelf. "This grape soda is offensive." She stared at the blender like it was ancient forbidden tech. I watched in stunned silence as she mixed crushed ice, protein powder, and some glowing blue gel she brought in a black vial. "Do you need blood?" I asked hesitantly. "Not human. Not yet." She smiled with too many teeth. "You are safe. For now." Over the next week, she made herself quite at home. She reprogrammed my thermostat to keep the house at 55 degrees. My houseplants began to wilt. She covered every mirror in the house, cultural reasons, she claimed, and rearranged my bookshelves by psychic resonance. Every time I asked when she was leaving, she said, "I cannot. We are linked now." I Googled alien vampire marriage rituals. I found nothing comforting. Despite the chaos, Sorry wasn't cruel. She was just different. She floated instead of walked sometimes, talked to shadows, occasionally glared at the moon and whispered, "Not yet." She binge-watched my sci-fi collection with intense disdain. "This portrayal is deeply offensive," she said during Star Vampires 3, Blood Eclipse. "We do not hiss." One night, I found her in the kitchen, staring at the fridge. "It hums to itself," she said softly. "That's just a motor." Strange machine. It dreams in metal. Right. Then something changed. A drone from Galactic Border Patrol showed up, scanning my property. Sorry flattened against the ceiling like a spider, eyes glowing. I waved the drone off with a false maintenance code, heart racing. When it left, she dropped to the floor. "You protected me," she said, surprised. "I didn't want the galactic feds vaporizing my backyard. Or you." She stared at me a long time, then said, "Perhaps the link is stronger than I thought." That night, she knocked on my door. I opened it to find her in a strange ceremonial robe, holding a glowing crystal. I wish to understand Earth customs, she said. May we perform a bonding ritual? Like what? I have observed. You watch movies and consume salted starch discs. You mean movie night and popcorn? She nodded solemnly. This is acceptable. So we watched Casablanca. She didn't blink once. At the end, she whispered, "Love is very inefficient, but strangely compelling." We sat in silence. Then she added, "I am glad you summoned me." I started to enjoy having her around. She taught me alien constellations, made my old generator run without fuel. She even scared off my creepy landlord with a single growl. But most of all, she listened, really listened. When I talked about feeling like a failure, about my podcast going nowhere, about being alone, she simply said, "You are not alone now." One morning, I woke up and she was gone. No note, no glow, nothing. I panicked. The house felt colder, not because of her temperature setting, but because of her absence. Then a voice rang out above my roof. "I have returned." I bolted outside. She was descending from a small obsidian ship. "You have a ship?" I blinked. "I retrieved it from lunar orbit," she said, stepping down. "I feared I frightened you, that you no longer wish my presence." "I thought you left," I admitted. "I did, for your sake." Then she reached forward, awkwardly, and pressed a small gem into my palm. "A token," she said, "of alliance." I smiled. "You're really not going anywhere, are you?" "No," she said softly. "I refuse." So here we are. My podcast now features a co-host, an alien vampire woman with biting sarcasm and literal bite. We call it Night Bites, real talk from a human and a summoned roommate. She still covers the mirrors, still floats around, still drinks glowing sludge at 3 a.m., but now sometimes she smiles for real. And when listeners ask if our bond is romantic, she answers, "That is none of their concern, but yes." And I just smile, because I accidentally summoned an alien vampire woman to my home. And I'm glad she refuses to leave.